Hello, this is David from Heart of the Lion School of Martial Arts. Well, that's what my school will be called when I get a chance to open it up. I'm here to actually talk about being older. I'm 58 years old, and I recently, as a year ago, restarted back into doing Taekwondo. Now, I did do Taekwondo when I was much younger. Uh, Basically, I started with Grandmaster David Shanin from age 15 to about 35. Uh, Actually, I was about 37 when I stopped. And what had happened is that things in my life brought me from California to Texas. And when I was out in California, I taught in several different places. I also taught in Oregon when I spent 6 months helping to take care of my sister. Uh, but back in those days, I had a lot less of this and a lot more flexibility and more strength in a lot of the things that I did. So, what I'm trying to say is that after moving to Texas, I opened up a martial arts school, and a flood happened, and it took out the school. Basically, I lost everything. I completely gave up. I said, no more. I can't do this. Um, there was a time where I did try to at least find another master to uh, continue to train, but the one that I found was too far away, and it was just between money and time and everything else that was going on at that particular time in my life, it just wasn't going to happen. So life went on. So here was 20 some odd years later, and I'm working at a job where uh, I enjoy my work, and it was uh, because of gaining a lot more of this and stuff, I started feeling picked on and stuff like that because I could hardly pick up stuff off the ground and not be, struggling. And I just said, no, no, I've got to change something in my life. And I decided that going back to the martial arts was going to be the best thing for me because it's was something I loved before, and I still, I would watch the martial arts shows and everything else, and I say, it's something I still love. And when it came to that point where I just had to say, do it. Stop talking about it. Just do it. I found an instructor after going to and kind of searching out different schools within um, a 20-25 mile radius uh, that I knew I could afford to get to, and as many times as I possibly could, according to my work schedule. I normally have 2 days off, and some days I work mornings, and some days I work evenings, and I kind of had to work classes or whatever it is I was going to do into that schedule. So I found a martial arts school in San Antonio. I live 30 miles outside of town, and uh, he agreed to take me on as a student because uh, I just, I guess he could see in me that I really needed to do this. And I told him I have a goal. My goal was to uh, get back up to a level to where I can start teaching again. And I figure it's going to take me 4 or 5 years to do this yet. I've been back doing the martial arts. Specifically, the style that that I'm doing is Taekwondo. Uh, and I really like the instructor, and all of his junior instructors are doing a really good job. And uh, I I truly enjoy. I have seen, hey, it's difficult, especially when you take a 20-year break. And uh, when I first started going back to classes, I was kicking maybe knee level and uh, you know, punches are strong. And I'm increasing my flexibility where I used to be able to only um, kick here. Now I'm kicking much higher. I'm not saying way much higher, but I'm eventually getting better than I was when I first started when I came back. I mean, I may never get back to where I was kicking way up here above my head. Um, because when I basically the first time I quit, I was in my late 30s, and here I am. I'm in my late 50s. Um, Matter of fact, I just turned 58 in August. So what I'm saying is that getting back into the martial arts is difficult. I mean, from where I was to where I am to where I will be and to what I'm striving for. They're all different levels of physical ability. And of course, there's all of the mental. And the mental is number one is um, something I learned a really long time ago. Uh, Integrity. Be truthful to yourself. Know what you can do. Uh, be honest. Be honest with yourself. Say, hey, I'm not expecting myself to do splits like what I was doing, when I was younger, able to just to the floor. And uh, back then, I was going to classes and even teaching, um, and a lot of people were, kind of envious of how I could just drop into the splits. I wouldn't say cold because that hurts, but you know, even girls couldn't get as much of as power splits that I could do. But I don't expect myself to get to that level uh, in a really short amount of time. It's going to take years because I know that when I was learning from a white belt up through black belt, it took a long time. I've studied several different styles of martial arts, and I picked Taekwondo because that's the style that works for me. It doesn't matter on what the style is that you take. Karate, Taekwondo, Tong Sudo, um, any of the Kung Fu styles, which are several styles within a framework of saying Kung Fu or Gung Fu. It really doesn't matter. Uh, I kind of break it down to uh, some styles are more hands than feet. Some styles are more feet than hands. Some styles are throwing and grappling and wrestling on the ground. There are some styles that are um, completely defensive, and there are some styles that are hard, break stone, stuff like that. And there are some styles that are soft like water. And my personal way of thinking is learn a little bit of everything. I've studied kung fu, learned the soft style of how to do things. And I've studied Taekwondo, hard style, and I've studied Wong Ching, and I've studied some judo, and I've studied some jiu-jitsu, and I've studied uh, a lot of different things. I mean, throwing aikido and hapkido and stuff like that. The throwing aspects, the move like water, hit like stone. But I take a little bit of everything I know or have been taught and put it into what works. What works for me doesn't happen to be what works for you, because what works for a short person may not work for a tall person. What works for a tall person may not work for a short person. It's how your body can maneuver when you're in a circumstance of being up against somebody else. And it's it's something you have to figure out for yourself. It really is. I find that, granted, I'm at an age where, hey, I'm not gonna kick somebody in the head up there, so I'm gonna do something down here to bring their head down, and then I'm gonna kick them in the head. Okay. Um, so self-defense, martial arts, sparring, all these things should combine to make what works for you, in my case, what works for me. I When I spar, I don't use just Taekwondo or any of the other martial arts that I've learned. I use a little bit of each of the arts when I spar, or fighting, or whatever. And I find that uh, I've always believed that the martial arts and what you or how you live your life should be along that line that you have to draw for yourself. You know, where's your line? Where's your line? What are you uh, capable of? What are you not capable of? And you've got to find that yin and yang of balance in your own life. Uh, Being an older person, I have to say, okay, I can't do this, but let's try to do this, and maybe in a week or two do that. I may have to take it a little bit slower than those who are a lot younger than I am, and that's what I'm doing. My instructor, he has said to me many times, "That's the way to go. You can do this." There are things I believe, and I see it in myself. Uh, I adjust as I go. I mean, breaking boards, and the type of boards that they're using now are not the wood ones; they're the rebreakable boards. Well, the they have different colors: green, orange, blue, red, black boards that they're plastic breakaway boards, but each color has its equivalent in wood. The blackboard that we're as a black belt are recommended, or I have to break this board or I don't pass my test kind of thing, is the black one. And it's supposed to be equal to 2.25 inches of regular wood. And think about 2.25 inches of 1 foot by 1 foot square by 2.25 inches thick. Okay, that's fine. That was my wife. She's telling me that I could be heard next door. Anyway, life goes on and things just happen to. You got to do it. I try to, I do my best, and I can say that when I first started, was trying to break that blackboard. It hurt. Wow. I mean, kicking with the ball of my foot after taking such a long break, I'm like, wow, now it's another thing I have to recondition. I have to recondition um, my feet to be able to take the impact that kicking that board to break it apart um, means. I mean, uh, I'm getting better at it, which is a good thing. So what I'm saying is that no matter how old you are, whether you're just starting in the martial arts and you're an older person, do it. It's for me, it's for my health. I'm losing weight. I'm gaining flexibility. I'm at this age relearning, or my memory is coming back to, hey, I remember that. I've learned that before. Wow, it still works. Or, okay, that doesn't work. But get back into doing martial arts if you taken a long break. If it's something you're doing that is brand new to you, do it. And I personally say, go find a type of martial arts that fits you. Not try to make yourself fit into that martial art. So this is David, um, trying to get back up to a third or fourth degree black belt level, and hopefully in a couple of years, may take a little while, I'm going to start teaching again. And look for my school if you happen to be in the Texas and San Antonio area. It will be called Heart of the Lion School of Martial Arts. So it might be plus something else. But when I do start teaching, it will be more than just Taekwondo. It's going to be a combination of all my knowledge, of all the different martial arts that I've studied uh, in my younger years, that I'm going to say, okay, this is what works for me. This, if it works for you, great. I'm going to give you the keys. And it's up to you to open the door. So get back into martial arts. Put your heart back into it. And love, peace, power, may it all be with you. all, guys.